The observer. What? Why bother? Does the observer even live within me? What am I observing anyway? What am I, what's the point?
Well, I see anything that happens in the personal consciousness as a product of personal consciousness. Yes, observer lives within the person, in my opinion.
Hmm?
And what's observer is needed for, it's this part of the personality that's created to be objective and to be a third party, to notice and make notes, to bring it to the attention of the first party, which is guardian,
Hmm?
usually, or the
Right?
ego self, the personality, right? To show how things um, can be viewed in a different perspective. So observer allows to stand back and analyze situation from as a third party, not being involved and receiving all what's happening to a person through their senses, through their ego self, and through their limiting convictions that they have about themselves. That's for a conscious mind. If we use the concept of observer for a work in altered states of consciousness, it's absolutely necessary for the purpose of staying sane, in my opinion, with all the observation I've done with people that do that work without having developed the observer. Because observer allows to analyze everything you experience and put it in perspective first, and second, put it in a test before the ego self can accept it as a new conviction of what wasn't part of that self to begin with. Because if you're never developed an observer, you never observed what's happening to you from outside of yourself, you would never know whether what you're experiencing is actually true, or is it some sort of dissolution that's happening to you. And okay, so if I were to answer these questions and your question, I would start from the idea that I needed. It's a tool that allows me to recognize what was happening to me was true, or was it a hallucinative work of my mind.
Oh,
When you create an observer, it has to be a felt sense of another, at least a movement into a different state of mind, right? Let's say you're on a regular basis, you operate through your guardian, whether you believe you're operating through intimate or not, you're still operating through your guardian because you're in your conscious mind. And even if your guardian is expanded because you're using your intimate, it's still the guardian you're operating from.
that's right.
That's how I see it from my experience.
It's very
right?
true. Right. Yeah.
Right. You're going out of, let's say you're going into altered state of consciousness, hypnagogic state, whatever that is. If you learn to calm your guardian and transcend that state and feel as if you're in that ultimate state of connection with everything. Happens a lot to people that never developed an observer, right? They feel dissolved, and they don't know how to put that in words because there's nothing to describe because they don't have a container. So observer, for me, I believe it's best created in hypnagogic state because you have a strong sense of dissolving your ego or guardian that keeps you in that container and going into a state in which your guardian is dissolved. You become, as you say, a sea of consciousness, but within the objective or subjective, which word is correct, container from which you observe what's happening around you without judgment. That's how I see it. With the
absolutely accurate. It's actually, go ahead, continue.
What I'm saying with sensory awareness exercises, they still have the active guardian. Maybe with practice, it makes it easier because they will learn to go into hypnagogic state without having headphones on. Mm-hmm. Especially with audio technology, because it artificially shuts down that monkey mind.
So, I agree with everything that you just said. Healing.
That's why I go into deep altered state.
So you're always in an altered. I see. So you're always in the hypnagogic state when you're doing your healing?
Yes and no. I've started a new practice recently where I would work with a person one-on-one like this over the Zoom. And I don't do a deep dive into like a hypnagogic state. I just kind of direct it in their system and we work with blockages. But I'm not doing much of reading and I'm not doing much of healing. So this is a new technique I developed where I allow them to recognize and see where they have the blockages. And we kind of, it's more like mixture of what they call it, what do you call that state when you have an idea of trauma and it's in your body? I forgot the word. It starts with C.
Not kinesthetic, right?
No, not kinesthetic. Another one.
That's a K word anyway.
Like a somatic word.
Oh, you know, somatic.
Somatic work. Okay. Go through blockages. So I do the same thing, but I connect to them energetically and guide it and help them recognize it. And then I want them to dive in and feel and sense, and we work with whatever comes. So in that sense, I've noticed I don't need to be deep in a meditative state. And we just discussed, and I laid out reasoning why would anyone need to do that, because you need to learn to step out of yourself to understand what's happening to you and be able to evaluate what's happening is real or you're creating something out of your need to create whatever that is you're experiencing.
Right, like state chasing and through imagination, right?
Right.
So, I think that the observer is one of my most powerful tools / abilities to expand my awareness in the here, now, while physically awake, and divide my consciousness, act as a bridge between my subconscious and superconscious while I'm fully conscious. I think that the observer is the ability for me to hold multiple states of awareness and multiple dimensions while here in the physical. I think the observer allows me to expand my awareness to pick up all sorts of things right here, right now, while I'm awake. And I do that through sensory awareness exercises. I'm not in the hypnagogic state, am I? As far as you
All
can
right. Yeah, but you are more advanced in doing this work than me
tell.
that took your course, right? I know what you're talking about.
No, I think you have the same ability. You just have decided that the observer is best employed in the hypnagogic state. And you're right. It has a value there. It acts as a boundary mechanism. It also teaches you something about the multidimensionality of self, right? Because if
Right.
you're observing, right, you're not the guardian. You're not being something, right? You're observing it. You're not participating in that.
I
You're not
could be
becoming
both, though. I could be both. I
right
could
because
have my
you are
attention in both ways because
right.
I've noticed that I am sometimes in my observer state and everything seems as if I'm just kind of like watching a movie and not taking it in. But then somebody says something and it triggers something in me and I automatically go into guardian state.
Ah, so you're aware that when the guardian comes in, do you able to hold the observer when the guardian kicks in?
Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. It all depends who I am interacting with.
Uh-huh.
It depends how much this person pisses you off too, right?
I don't know. Yeah, sometimes I guess. Sure, sometimes I guess.
No?
No, it's true. But you see, when somebody pisses me off, I can find myself going, "Wow, look at me! I'm pissed off." That's so fascinating. What just triggered me? I'm so fascinated by that. What am I seeing? What am I hearing? Oh, it was something she said. No, it wasn't what she said. It was the way she twitched her nose when I said this. Wow. What's my reaction to nose twitching? It feels condescending. Okay, that's just information. Keep going. What's going on here? What am I sensing? These are all
Oh
things.
no, I do that though. What you just
Yes,
described,
you
I do that.
do.
I don't know.
Right.
I wasn't sure you call them sensory awareness exercise. For me, it's just my analytical thinking of, oh, I'm feeling this, where this comes from. Is
I'm
it
hearing this. I'm
associated with
seeing
something?
this.
Right.
Right. I'm
Or,
thinking this. I'm feeling this. All of
right.
those things are the sensory awareness exercises.
Okay. Okay. So, but I do that all the time in the day, even.
Exactly. Exactly. I
Sometimes I
knew that
smell
you did it.
something and I think of a person, automatically I start to analyze, why am I thinking about this person? Oh, because I had a smell and it's connected to the person.
Right.
Or I could just think about the person and think, why am I thinking about this person? Oh, it could be something I was feeling within me and that person
Uh-huh.
was triggering it. I also
Right.
connect that to that person.
Are you in the hypnagogic state when any of this stuff is going on?
No, I'm more in a dream, daydream.
Yes.
Right.
You're in an expanded state that is present, but it's present with more than one thing.
Right.
It's
Right.
present with a lot of content. That's why we do the sensory awareness exercises to be present with more content in the waking state. And because it triggers the observer phenomenon, it helps strengthen it. It's like doing any other form of exercise. That's exactly why we do it. When are you not a healer? Are you? Well, I'll ask you this. I'll put it this way. Have you noticed it within yourself that there's a healer mode you go into, and then there's the regular Angelica?
Sometimes, yes, I'm not going to lie and say that I'm trying to adopt the idea of being a healer in every aspect of my everyday life. And, um,
Even if you're not getting paid, right?
I even think when I'm rude to someone or aggressive, it's also healing
Can
because
be.
that's what they need.
It can be. Like I said, your
It's not
whole life
something
you
I would do in a class setting. I'm saying in a like in a everyday life.
uh-huh.
Sometimes people come to you in aggressive manner and I respond in the same manner, I feel bad afterwards because I say to myself, oh, I wasn't a healer at that moment. And then I step back and think, oh, maybe this bastard needed to hear that because he needs to learn that if he's aggressive, then the world going to be aggressive to him too.
Well, we can work that too if you want. But let's stay with this. All right. The sensory awareness exercises are just like any other form of psychic ability, but they're using the physical sensory input. Hearing somebody's words. How do you know when somebody's being aggressive with you? Do they literally have to like push you in order to?
No, it's what it's really their posture and how they present themselves and voice and the intentions. Sometimes they're passive aggressive and they're passive aggressive.
All right, great.
See, that's the thing. Going through that, it's
takes you
the ability to step back and analyze.
Right.
And then give the answer. But when you're reacting, you're doing it so quickly.
Right. And which one is an observer? The one who's
not an observer.
Right.
Active self. And I know that. I could be doing it from both, like observing, analyzing, making conclusions, and trying to be nice. And then some part of me says, oh, no, you're not supposed to be nice at this point. You need to punch him so next time he thinks before he does it.
You are like, excuse my French, but you're going to be like a fucking goddess in this work. All right?
Yeah, let me finish. What if I react like that when people trigger you?
All you're looking to do is become patient with yourself.
Yes. And it's easier in a setting when people come to you and you're viewed as someone who knows more than they do.
Right.
As opposed to in a regular life where everyone just assumes that you're a woman and you're stupid. I get that. That's where I get a lot of aggression associated with it. Although I don't come up as a stupid woman, but a lot of lame men that don't analyze before they assume, they think that. And that's where I have a lot of issues. That's where my aggression comes up.
What you just shared with me, all right, is so beautiful. And thank you very much. And I want to put that here, okay? I want to say this one thing to you. I am now inspired through what you just said, not just what you shared with me about aggressive men who look at women and say you're a stupid woman. I just want to smack people like that into next Tuesday. This conversation that we have had about the observer and the inability to hold the observer and lose patience with somebody and have a reactive mind, I'm inspired. I'm inspired right now by you and your story and your personal limitations with your observer and why you want to work it. I'm inspired. Now I want to work it. I'm a participant. I now see a value. Do you see how you bringing your story, your truth, vulnerable, right there in everything, right there for everybody to hear, can do that? Why am I inspired?
Because it's sincere and I am vulnerable in a way in this situation because I'm showing my negative sides. I would say no.
I would say all of that could be a hook, but more importantly, I can relate.
Okay, well.
Now I'm in relationship to you because of my own personal experience. I'm not sitting in this class because I think you're the wisest person on earth. I'm not sitting in this class because I believe you're going to help me get over my issues with patients, right? I didn't come to you for that. I came to you for the out of body experience. But I'm all of a sudden leaning forward. I want to know now how the observer can help me deal with my own reactive responses. I want to know now how the observer can help me observe the content in the subconscious. I want to know how the observer is valuable in the hypnagogic state, but not just in altered states of consciousness, in conscious waking life, in relationship. You just
Well,
inspired
the
me.
observer allows to recognize and step out of your um, ego self, and more you do that, it becomes a lot easier um, to dissolve that behavior,
Mhm.
right?
Now, I want to add to it the other things that you presented when I said, why am I inspired? Your vulnerability. I know you're human, right?
Right.
I know you've been there. These are relational issues. This now makes me say, I can learn from this woman. She knows where I have been or where I am at. That is power. That begins sympathetic resonance. Bring an idea into the room, inspire me, then discuss. Bring them into the room. Can anybody relate to the idea of what I'm talking about here? This is my own personal experience. Sometimes I'm just sitting with, somebody and they'll trigger a response to me and I just want to smack them into next Tuesday. But I don't really want to do that, right? I just want to, gather the information that I need to in order to bring a more whole presence into this relationship. And the reason I want to do that is because it'll make my life better, it'll make my relationships better, but it also makes me a better observer. What's she talking about now? Well, when I'm in an observation mode, and I'll teach you all how to do this, and it's hard work, but you can do it. When I'm in an observation mode, I'm not reactive because I'm observing myself, I'm observing the other, I'm observing my feelings, my thoughts, all the subtle energy sensations. It's basically an expanded state of awareness. Ooh, I've heard of those things and they're tied to the out of body experience. And that's going on in my head,
Well, it's probably from all the insecurities I had as a child.
I'm sorry for those.
Oh, everyone had them.
Yeah, right. I get it.
I don't. I don't see it as a something only I had. It's a process. It's a life process to accept yourself fully. And I, um, although yeah, you could be right. I just don't believe in myself, I guess, enough. But when I do the hypnosis, people tell me that it's soothing, that my voice is soothing, which sounds to me like they're just too calm. Probably that's why it's soothing. So, because I hear a lot of aggressive notes in my voice, and I don't dislike it.
Uh-huh.
I just don't understand how these frequencies in my voice that are more assertive could be soothing. That's all.
Mm, it's not always. My,
Probably.
my voice isn't always soothing. When I'm agitated, you should hear me. I sound like something out of The Sopranos.
I never heard you agitated. That's probably why.
Well, what the fuck do you want? You want me to start? I can start anytime. You want me to go? I'll
Yeah,
go.
but you're acting now. It's not
Yes.
real.
No, it's not real because I'm not agitated by you, right? You and I are in a very calm, simpatico flow when we get together. But there have been times in our relationship when we're in the group where you'll have a question, right? And I can hear it in your voice. It's a little tense. You're trying to, you know, you're working something out that I'm saying to the group. And you're saying, well, why would that be? And isn't that just a belief? Or, and that's really cool. And I hear it in your voice, like you hear it in everybody else's. And I play tennis with you. You remember me doing this? That's all we're doing. We're playing a game, you and I. We're playing tennis. You lob a ball to me, I hit it back to you.
You know why people love having me in a group setting?
I'm sure there's myriad reasons, but tell me.
No. The major reason is I do what others don't do,
Oh,
which
you mean you get confrontational?
I get confrontational and I
Right.
actually speak out whenever they
Right.
can't because they
That's
don't have
that's
the.
that is such a talent.
It's not a talent.
Yes. No, no,
That's
no.
it for my country.
You
It's
can.
the country I come from.
You can use that as a talent like the rabbis use it.
Yeah.
On one hand, the Torah tells us X, Y, and Z, and God wants us to do that. But on the other hand, we know, this shit doesn't always work like that, and the battle begins, the tennis game, right? Do it with yourself.
Oh, I all the time, 24/7.
Good. Use it in the group. Use it
Yeah.
in the group when you're leading them. You say, I just made it, you'll be talking, you'll be channeling. I know you, I could see it moving through you, when you do it. You're going to feel this. You're going to work your way around it. You'll be say what I just suggested, talking about the observer and your own self, right? And what the values of it. You could, at any point in time, turn the tables on yourself and say, now I just made an assertion. And I didn't hear anybody challenge that assertion. Does anybody want to challenge that assertion? Play tennis with them. It's just a game. It's not a challenge on you. Your ability to make that into a game, so to speak, where you know that where you're more comfortable with the unknown than they are, that's power.
Well, I'll need some time to get
Of course.
comfortable
Do you think
too.
I was born with this?
Yeah, it's probably through practice and stuff. But yeah,
Exactly.
with certain things I can do it, with certain I don't, because I
Yeah.
guess I'm still building up that trust
Yeah.
in myself too.
Right. Your whole life has been designed to do this work in the same way my whole life has been. And Bob used to say it all the time, especially at the end of his life. He would say, it's amazing when I look back, nothing was wasted. All the things that I thought, what a waste of time, nothing was wasted. Not one bit. Everything was exactly set up so that I could end up being where I am and where I'm going. I look at you and I see that same thing. And I think you know that on a level, don't you? I mean, it's more than a belief. It's like a little Tinkerbell inside of you that knows this.
Yes, I
But you
think
don't know how, right?
I'm learning. Yeah, that's the whole process of learning, right?
Right.
Um, it's something big, so it takes time to develop all the skills. It's a lot of skills to guide someone in play, right? The being the observer, it's also a skill which takes time to develop. Unless you were born Buddha, I'm not. So
I'm not sure.
I don't
When,
know.
when you were born,
Huh?
you're a mom, right? You don't
Yeah,
remember when you were a baby, but you remember you have a daughter, right?
I do. Yeah.
You remember when your daughter was a baby? How that baby would just take things in. Everything was the observer.
Yes.
There was no judgment whatsoever,
No.
right?
Uh, yeah.
We're all born with a keen observer. That's how we develop a self. We take in all this information throughout our whole lives up to a point of adulthood where the brain is fully functioning, like age 26, 27. And it's like, this is as good as it gets now, theoretically. We have a real sense of ourselves at that age, most of us, meaning that we have a self image, and all of that was predicated on information that came to us from others and our ability to digest that information or not digest it, to accept it for what it was or not accept it. When we first started off the journey, there was no acceptance, there was no judgment. It just came in, right? Your baby cried, needed to be fed, changed, whatever. You were there. Oh, there's that nice lady who always takes care of me. She doesn't even know who you are, really, but she feels the bond. That kinesthetic sense is really active at that age. That's what all that stuff is, that crying, when they just have to get it out, they feel this irritation, but they don't have any language for it, like I really need to be changed, and they're pre-verbal, so they can't go, hey mom, I need you to come and change my diaper, right? It's just that's what it is. And they do it with joy too, spontaneous bursts of joy. It's just energy in the body through the central nervous system that needs to get out, and it's energy that is self-reflective in addition to energy that is information coming in, because they don't know it's information. They don't have names for it. It's all pre-verbal. That's what the intuitive quadrant is. You don't know what the language is all the time when you feel something. You feel a disturbance in the force, right? I get the impression from Angelica this or that. But that's just my conscious mind trying to make sense out of the energy that I'm feeling. You do that in your healing, don't you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. You don't need the language for it, even. Now, you have the talent to just say, this energy feels, I don't know, blue. I don't need to attach more to it than that. But I know that blue and red somehow balance each other out. So I'm going to put those two together in some kind, whatever your healing discipline is. You have these talents. And you don't even have to be patient with yourself. You're learning. Actually, it's more like you're rediscovering than you're learning. You're having to remember something that is pre-verbal, beyond words even. And you can do that through the observer. And when I say observer, I don't mean you have to do multiple levels of stepping back. I just scan your senses. What am I feeling? What am I seeing? What am I hearing? What am I thinking? What am I hearing? Just doing that, asking yourself those simple questions, you start to lean forward and listen a little bit more. You start to see with eyes that aren't these two, but this one. You reach out with your energetic body, your kinesthetic sense, and get a little bit of information. You might be aware of your internal dialogue. That's the guardian. The guardian's going to have a dialogue about what you're feeling, what you're thinking. Paying attention to that, that's observation of the self. I seem to be thinking about X. You understanding the value of the sensory awareness exercises now? Yeah. And not, they seem annoying, right? Like, what?
No, but it's something we do all the time. I do it through, since I'm aware of myself.
Exactly. But the people that you're going to work with, they're not doing it all the time. You know what that's going to make you look like? They're going to look at you like, holy shit, this woman's so advanced. I don't think I'll ever be able to sit. And you're going to laugh at them because you're thinking to yourself, nah, I'm just a tour guide. How many times have you heard me say it? Right? You think I'm just like underplaying my ability? No, my whole life has been set up for this. I'm ready to retire and grow tomatoes and make guitars. I'm going to stop this work. So I think you might be able to now inspire information about, inspire a conversation and discussion and help people with the value of the observer. But if you want to flesh it out more, we can.
I think I can do that.
I know you can. I believe you inspired me. So I know you can.
As it's personal, it becomes like a therapy class as well. I mean, session as well. So it's like two in one.
It is, but you know what it
That's why it's
really
fun.
is? It's relationship.
Right, it is. Yes. Some people do what they do and they don't want to get too close to, they just view themselves as, here I am giving you information and leave me alone. I don't want to connect to you. I don't want to know anything about you. I've seen lots of healers like that too. Although,
That's not what this work's about.
no, it's not. And I was treating healing kind of from that perspective.
Mm.
Now I don't do that anymore. I just see more value in a way that I also expand. When I connect to a person on an intimate level, I mean, through energy exchange, I expand myself as well. And I work through my own issues.
Which brings us to the intimate.
Right.
You just used the word, right?
Yes, I have.
Is this word an appropriate word?
I think so, yes. It takes a lot of deepening into the process to understand and see it that way. So for someone who being like a loner, let's say, and they didn't really connect to other people because of their own issues, and try to keep boundaries and not be able to get close to another person, this word might be a big word and might be really confusing and just might be something out of different galaxy. Okay, it takes a certain experience and understanding and of work, inner work, to understand and see it as an intimate process. Yes.
Because of someone's defense patterns around intimacy.
Right, right. So if a lot of people not even intimate with themselves, right? They have, when you're, this saying, be honest with yourself, even confuses them. Because recognizing that they're doing something against their moral code, Because people, when they do something they don't like, they quickly forget about it because they don't want to really concentrate and feel bad and feel sorry. It's like their moral code easily bend, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've met lots of people like that. But then when you
Yeah.
start to challenge it,
Mm-hmm.
they're not comfortable with it.
Nope. And it breaks the intimacy.
Right. So they don't even have that intimacy with themselves because I used to be like that. I used to be, I used to lie about certain things and then convince myself that I did it for this purpose and forget about it, and not feel guilty, or I wouldn't face my own, um, uh, what's the word? I don't like word sin, but proper word for this purpose, I guess. um, but when I learned to do that, to actually step away and look and think, oh, what I did right now wasn't nice, wasn't good. And at least I might not admit it to another person who I did it to, but I admit it to myself. And that is an intimate process. More you do that, more you become comfortable with being vulnerable with yourself, because admitting to yourself that you're not a good person once in a while, it's not the best feeling one can have, right? So
I laugh at myself and say I'm perfectly capable of being an asshole. I just choose not to be.
it takes a conscious choice, because a lot of us were assholes because we were not conscious in our actions. We would just do something because we used to do that. And as kids, they lie a lot. It's an easy way out, right?
Mm-hmm. They
And
don't want
I remember doing that through. That's when I remember when I felt as an adult, when one day I just said, I'm not going to lie anymore. I'm going to take responsibility for whatever comes out of the truth I say. Again, I can't say that I'm 100% honest. We amend truth here, there, all the time, right?
to.
Uh, but I try to be as much as I can. And that's
I'm
a responsibility in being an adult, in my opinion. But
Mhm.
what I'm saying is lots of people don't do that. And that is a non-intimate process.
That's
So if
right.
they cannot do that with themselves, how will they get intimate with their intimate self?
How do I describe the intimate to these groups? Do you remember?
The it's the wise, the wisdom within them, the universal. No, I don't remember exactly.
I say some people equate it to a higher self, all right, which a lot of people look to for wisdom. You can do that. Other people equate it to a connection to divinity. You can do that. All those things are valid. The best way that I know to describe the intimate is that it is an aspect of the self that knows me better than I know myself.
Right, but the journey to get there could be unreachable for some people.
Maybe. I don't really know. What I do know is that part of this work is designed to help you do that. Whether or not you get there, we'll find out. I think a lot of it has to do with willingness, motivation, practice, clarity, putting trust into it. But trust comes through verification, like what I call the litmus test, and when we get to the trust section. you're in an altered state of consciousness. You get a bit of information from what you consider to be your higher self. How do you know you can trust that? When the Monroe Institute, back in the old days anyway, God knows what they do now, in the lab, when we would have explorer sessions and you'd have somebody in the booth and they're prattling on about the secrets of the universe and the levels of the soul and all of this stuff, we'd record it and we would take the information as being just what it was, information. We'd listen to it and we'd thank the entity for sharing. And we would say after it was all said and done, so what's your evaluation of it? And the rule in the lab is just because you don't have a body doesn't make you wiser than everybody else. You could be God knows what kind of entity. Just because you say that you are a 10,000-year-old English, Atlantean entity doesn't mean you're telling me the truth. You could be somebody's Aunt Martha who's just having a fine time messing with us, right? Lying because they have no scruples. Or perhaps they've convinced themselves.
Well, that's why you need an observer that does the work, analyzing and seeing where the information comes from.
Now
There's
I'm
so much
inspired
more
again.
light to recognize who is it from and what is it from. And that
Right.
takes the critical thinking. But the problem is a lot of people, that's what I'm saying. If you're doing this work and you don't have the observer self, then you just buy into whatever and you can be convinced that God's talking to you. I've seen lots of
Exactly.
people like that at Monroe Institute.
Yes,
You
you
just
would.
listen to them and you think, oh my God, just shut up. Like, no, because they share in a group, and these people, majority of them are overwhelming. They're like obnoxious. They just, this is the truth coming from the God that just talked to me.
Mm-hmm.
And you see the issues there that they never work through the critical mind. Every time I encounter some being, I analyze first who you are, where you come from, what do you want from me, and just sense it and see where this information comes from, right? And I no longer get like somebody talking to me.
Isn't that interesting when that happens?
Yes, yes, because I used to get like the voice would be just telling me something, up loud.
Mm-hmm.
I had one experience which was the weirdest experience ever. After Gateway, I came home and I was having my nap as usual, and I'm napping in my house, which was had those open to above, and all of a sudden I hear this loud voice, like speaking through the speakers in my house, of a man who I see in my vision stands right in front of me with the book and says, Vlad is waiting for you, awaiting you, in Russian. I jumped because I thought the guy was in my room. Then I analyzed and realized that this was a vision, and the voice I've heard wasn't in the physical reality. And it's been 14 years. Every time I meet the Vlad, I pay attention. Maybe it's the guy who is waiting for me. I don't know. I think it was just some sort of joke. Who the hell was he? What kind of message was that? And where is this Vlad?
I do not know the answer to that question, obviously, but thank you for sharing the story. And it's obviously information, right? And you
Yes,
cannot.
but I didn't have a chance to even analyze it.
You may not digest or understand this information for another 10 years. I have no idea. You know how this works.
Yes, I know. There's more questions than answers, but I've learned not to take everything for granted just because some entity decided to tell me something. You become like a huge antenna. You pick stuff up from everywhere, and
Right. And
do you
this
trust
goes to,
everyone when they tell you stories? No, you analyze it and assume, like I make assumptions. Okay, I trust this person, and I see this person is lying. The same thing applies to that realm as well. Yes.
Now we're at the point of developing trust, right?
Yes.
Which is a whole section of the program. You just inspired me to ask me myself, can I learn to discern the difference between good information and bad information, not only in waking states, but in altered states,
Yes, you can.
right? Well, if you just tell me that, right? If you just say,
Obviously, that's not enough information, especially for some.
right,
Yes.
you gave me your personal story, and now I'm inspired. Now I want to know, how do I trust in my life, right? What I'm trying to point out to you is that you got this. You know how to do this. You just don't know that you know how to do it. And I do know that you know how to do it, and I'm showing you how you can do it.
No, no, I know. And I actually dealt with it the other day when I was on that retreat that I made no money. But there was a lady, she had the same exact question. How do you discern what coming to me, whether it's true or not? And in the best of my ability, I tried to explain to her that sometimes it takes a lifetime. It's the ability to trust in information that comes to you, same way as if you meet a person. First time you meet a person, you do have some sort of idea about the person when you talk to them. Are they truthful? Are they sincere? Or are they lying to make it look for themselves, to exaggerate something? You know, and you can differentiate between all the information you're receiving from that person. Same way you do it in altered state or in any state. You use the same techniques basically, right? And it takes time.
Yeah.
So the way I would do it, if I receive an information, I don't jump to conclusions. I analyze it, I think of it, and then I decide, okay, is it true or is it not? I don't know. And I tell whatever that is to show me or give me some sort of proof or give me something that would convince me that this is true.
There you go.
So my practice, I did that in the beginning of my Monroe courses that I took. I don't know, I knew it intuitively how to do it. So, and when I did that, I had this exercise. You probably remember they have it in the gateway where you come to 21 and you sit in a park and you wait for someone to visit you. Okay. And this was 2010. And here I am sitting in that park, nothing happens, nobody comes to me. And I'm pissed off. Why probably everyone having an experience and I'm not having an experience? And all of a sudden, when I already gave up an idea to meet someone, I sense for right now, it's probably not a weird story, but for Dan, for me, it was something that I wouldn't accept. I sense a loving and warmth coming from a tree that appeared in front of me. And this was a cherry tree that I grew up with that would have, sorry, I'm crying because it was so emotional for me. So a year before that, I went back to my house in my childhood and I saw that tree was cut. And I really cried because I was so connected to it, right? And at that moment, I just realized that, oh, the tree has a consciousness and it's communicating to me, it came to visit me. It was such a proof for me to show that it's real.
Right.
Sorry.
No, why are you sorry? Again, I'm moved. I'm inspired. Your humanity, your truth, your intimacy that you just shared with me inspires me to want to share with you. Right? And every time somebody shares with you, you get information. And if you open up your senses, you're going to get a lot of it.
Yes, you are. Yeah. And deep inside, I know I will be.
I know you will be. You know you're going to be really good at this.
Deep inside, I know I meant to be, I meant to do this work. It's just, I knew it from a very young age. So it's just what we gain on the journey, right? Sometimes it
Mhm.
just stops us believing in ourselves.
So you just validated what I just said to you maybe 40 minutes ago, that your whole life has been set up to do this, and you know it.
Yes, yes. Yes, I just, maybe what's the word? The hesitation was to say that it wasn't just that. There's many other aspects in my life that I was set up for. Yeah, but for this in particular, yes,
And
it
it's
was.
not just triad mind work,
No, I'm not talking about triad mind in particular. I'm talking about
healing.
like consciousness work in
Yeah.
general.
Which
Yeah.
is healing work.
Yes,
It
it
is
is.
work. Yeah.
It is healing work, and it's also a work of remembering all the lost parts of ourselves that and aspects that others have within them.
That's right. People are going to love you, and some people are going to not know what to make of you, and some people are not going to really resonate with you. My sense is the majority of them will love what you bring to the table of this conversation. Because I love what you bring to the table. I've been having this conversation forever. There you go with the self-doubt again.
No, no, no. It's not self-doubt.
What
It's
is that?
I'm very comfortable with people that don't like me. It just I've learned from very young age to recognize who likes me and who don't. And I meet a lot of people that don't like me.
Really?
But I think if someone comes to me,
Uh-huh.
it's because they give me some sort of credit to begin with, right?
Uh-huh.
So
I've
they
never met
probably,
anybody who doesn't like you. How do you
well,
know
I've
when
met,
somebody doesn't like you?
huh?
I said I've never met anybody who doesn't like you. So
You
how do
don't
you
know
know the
everyone I know.
what
Uh,
don't they like about you?
I'll tell you what they don't like about me. The assertive nature that I know things and they doubt it.
Hmm.
Uh, that many refer to me as someone who uses their masculine self and dominates over others.
Hmm.
Although I don't think I do that because I think I know where boundaries are. If it's just I'm talking about from last years from COVID, when COVID started, I was involved with lots of women,
Hmm.
and it seems like a lot of them have issue with me because I have a lady that I did workshops with, and we would do a lot of things in my house, like retreats and parties and all of that. And it seems like from all that big group, according to her, most of
Hmm.
them don't like me because I'm too not pushy, but too sure of myself. People are uncomfortable with that, you know. So, but it's okay. I'm fine with it. I don't have an issue. As someone said, I'm not a dollar bill for everyone to like me,
Hmm.
right? And many years ago, I had this late Chinese lady who was my friend, and she told me apparently the whole China don't like Dalai Lama. And I
Hmm.
thought he's such a nice and sweet person. And all these people don't like him for whatever reason. Then I guess there is a reason why people don't like me because I do have, I do, what's the word? I trigger lots of people. I
And
trigger
you
lots.
trigger them with your assertive knowledge.
Right. Not even knowledge. I mostly do it in a critical way. I try to take them out of their comfort zone to look at their belief system from a critical perspective. And lots of people don't like to do that. They like to be in their comfort zone.
Does that have anything to do with that Soviet upbringing?
No, it has nothing to do with Soviet upbringing.
Okay.
No, you mean for them or for me?
For you. Like, do you feel like you need to tell everybody how it is and how they should do it? And they'll challenge you, and you challenge
No. I
the
don't.
belief system?
I don't do it when, like, it's not like we're sitting in a group setting and all of a sudden I start telling someone, "Or you're an idiot for believing in Jesus." No, I don't do that. If the conversation comes up, I kind of trigger their belief system in a way that I would give them some sort of known knowledge. For example, let's say today it's a fact and it's known that a nature created woman first, and in the process of evolution there was developed the what's the word, Y chromosome, right? But according to Bible, man was created first. So to me, this is enough knowledge, because this is proven fact by biology, and I did a lot of research on that, and I listened to lots of lectures by molecular biologists talk about it, that the whole concept of Bible is nonsense. And I like to bring that up, and that triggers a lot of people.
Is that kind?
No.
Is it true? Do you absolutely know it's true?
It's
Is
true.
is it necessary?
I feel in that sense, yes, it is.
And is it the right time?
Not always, but yeah.
But you say it anyway. All right. Well,
Sometimes don't.
again, I found that the four gates of speech, you don't have to practice it all the time. I'm not trying to censor your thinking or your assertion. I actually like your assertions. I challenge my assertion any day. I'm not so attached to any belief that I have that, I can't be challenged. I learn new things. I don't know if you're the same mind, but I
try to be, yes. And like, there is a saying by Nietzsche, some people are just believers and some people look for truth.
That's right.
I think I'm on the side where I look for truth. Obviously, the truth could be illusional, doesn't matter. But still, if it's an obvious lie, I don't have a problem for myself to change it.
What if the Genesis story wasn't meant to be truth, but an allegory for something?
No. That's not true, though. That's according to
How do you know?
According to religious people, they believe it's true and they take it for granted. And the whole religion was built on that, which is Islam, that enslaves women up till today, according to their Bible or Quran, whatever.
Yeah. Well, I've never looked at the Genesis story as an account of truth, personally.
Because you didn't grow up in a Jewish household. I did.
No, I grew up in a Catholic one. They like to teach those stories too. They told me those stories, but I knew where babies come from. And they never mentioned the dinosaurs in the creation story. And I knew dinosaurs existed at 7. I never looked at it as being truth, but one day, because of my studies in Kabbalah, I realized it was never designed to speak a scientific truth. It's designed to talk about an origin. That's all. We don't need to discuss the Bible. We can have that conversation at another time. And in order for me to be able to facilitate a group without saying so much, I have to be comfortable with the unknown. So things like absolutes, my beliefs, my understandings, my knowledge base, my absolute truths, if you will, I have to put them all aside. all of it, right down to the dinosaurs. Did they ever exist? Yeah, I've seen the bones. I know they exist.
Well, we see them now. They evolved into birds.
Exactly. Or at least that's the theory.
It's already
It's,
proven, by the way.
yeah, I know. I had this conversation with a guy at the Museum of Natural History in New York City. I mean, I have great conversations with scientific people on all sorts of topics who are absolutely certain, right up until the point I say, X, and then they're like, well, that's a question. And we don't know. Yeah, exactly. We don't know everything. But I'm more comfortable with being in the unknown than most people because I know that in the unknown, in the void of Focus 15, so to speak, there's potential. If I don't land somewhere and just stay observant of what's there and the space between you and I, and invoke that intimacy and that resonance, something can occur that I know. And if I come to understand what that is, that has the potential of being known, I can actually work with that. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I think so, yes.
I think you do. Your relationship to the unknown, if you can learn to expand that a little bit and tolerate more of it, I think that would change a lot of this dynamic that you were talking about for the past 20 minutes with people not liking you because or not being able to deal with your assertive nature and your understandings. I admire I admire your power. I like it. I'm with it. I'll play tennis with you.
Self. It's either repels people or the opposite attracts, right?
Well,
It all depends what they feel about themselves.
yeah, I find it stimulating because it's something that we can do together. It's a game, right? It is. And it's a game of equals,
Mm-hmm.
right? I'm not looking at you like some stupid woman. I want to smack people who want to say that. You are anything but a stupid woman. And I know you know that. You don't need my
But
external
it's not,
validation.
no one ever says that because they make assumptions out of talking to me or learning more about me. It's usually the just ignorant assumption.
Yeah.
It's,
Or they're threatened by your power.
or maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
But I revel in your power. I love what you're doing.
thank you.
I mean that sincerely. I mean, if two powerful people do something in unison together, what the hell do you think that would make?
Well, I don't know. I never met the second one.
Well,
Seems like I always find
I don't know. Do you see me as powerful?
yes, I do, of course.
Good. Then one day we'll create something together, okay?
I would love to. It would
One
be
day we will.
massive learning
No,
potential for me.
one day we will. One day we will. In the meantime, I just want to encourage you to be with the unknown and to examine your relationship to it. Because
I
in
do
that,
that all the time. I and
do you know that?
in altered states, I'm absolutely comfortable with everything that comes.
Yes, I'll bet you are.
Yes, because my guardian is dissolved, right?
Right,
Um, but with active guardian, like an active conscious mind, has
right.
issues with it. I can't
Where does your
deal with
conscious
people that create unknown situations,
get it?
uncertainty. I can't do that.
I
I
get that.
yeah, um, I just get rid of them.
I
As soon
get
as I
it.
recognize this person is creating a lot of uncertainty, I get rid of them because I don't like that in my personal life. But
Can
in
I?
other states, I'm happy. I'm even looking forward to it because if I'm not comfortable with unknown. I'm not going to be able to learn something new. I'm not going to be able to explore new planes of existence, right? And
Hmm.
there it seems like it's fine. But with personality in play, it's not.
Is it personality or some kind of threat?
It could be many things. Again, I don't look at personality as something apart from me. Obviously, it's part of me.
Hmm.
Everything else is also part of me.
Right.
Uh, I it's yeah, it could be control issue. If I don't trust someone because they're uncertain, because they can
Hmm.
bring whatever,
Hmm.
and I can control that situation, could be that. Yes, it could be control issue.
I didn't use that word, but I'm glad that you did. I don't know that it's a matter of control because you can control it in another way if you want to.
Yes, I can become a leader in that interaction and lead it to a certain area, but I don't want to do that anymore.
I say,
Again, it all depends on what kind of relationship it is, right? If it's a
right,
girlfriend, it's fine, it's
right,
okay. And
right,
most of the time, if I feel the person doesn't have that ability, I take over. That's okay.
right.
I don't want to do that in a relationship with a man because then I become a mommy. That's
Yeah, 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 yeah.
it's just I just get I realize this person is not for me because in order to have a partnership with another person, they have to be on the same level as you, thinking
Right.
and being able to plan and organize things in the
And
same
have
way,
the same goals, right?
right? And have the same goals, right?
Right,
So
right. Well, not everybody's going to have the same goals, but I get where you're coming from. I mean, even in,
at least
marital relationship.
goals when we are working through our time spent together.
Right,
So
right, right.
yeah, most of the time I'm getting the opposite. It's like I'm attracting these people. I don't know why. I don't know how that happened. So many
Because
people, women complain about their husbands being so manly and controlling, and I'm getting all these weak men that want me to make decisions for everything.
I don't know, because God has a sense of humor.
Yeah.
You think?
Does God have a sense of humor? Yeah, we do it. We have it. So I guess God has it too.
How could it be